And there you go, with the sounds of actually yours truly singing stupid things, as he does when he's in the mood for so doing. Welcome, hello, good evening. This is VTTalk. I am David Dawn, the Hi-Fi Stud, and you are watching what we can bring to you, because it all crashed out a couple of seconds ago. But tonight I am joined by the ever lovely Chris Heseltine, who is sitting, as you can see, to my right over there. Hi, Chris.
Hi, hello everybody.
How are you doing tonight? You well?
I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you very much. Looking forward to all the questions.
Yes, I think it should be a good night again tonight. I should let everybody know that the best laid plans of mice and men aft gang agley, as they say, because it was all working lovely, and then Wirecast, the software that we use to make it all work, decided to crash, which meant all the shots and everything we'd set up and all the cameras that had set up have all gone to hell in a handcart. But we've been having this for a little while, have we not, Chris?
We certainly have. But we've battled through time and time again.
Yes. So don't ask for videos to be played, because we're not convinced they'll play at all. More's the pity. But there you go. So shall we chance the titles?
Go on.
We'll give it a go and see what happens. Fingers crossed, everybody. No, I didn't think so. No. Utter silence from this point. There you go. So, video not going to have it. So, straight in with the first question then, Chris.
Yeah, okay. Well, the first question came flying in from Liam. And he says, I sometimes find the flavour in juices lacking pop. Can I just add a few dropettes of flavour to boost or alter it? If so, which UK vendors have a good range of flavours? Me this one, Dave?
I think you absolutely ought to take that one, Kat. It's right up your street.
Yeah, well, with flavours, there is a golden rule out there of no more than 25%. Now, I do know some people go a little bit higher than that, but it does depend on what kind of flavouring that you're using. So if you're using a concentrate, now the concentrate...
Kat, you've broken up there. And we've managed to lose Chris. Give me 2 seconds. I shall try and bring her back. This is great fun. This is technology at its very best. So bear with me. I'll try and bring her back. We should have her in 2 seconds. 2 shakes. No. Oh dear. We'll try again.
From you?
Yes. Foo. Are you there, Chris?
Are we back?
Yes, we're back.
Yeah.
Let me just get you going. There you go. Pick up at the start of your answer, really, please.
Okay. Flavourings, just to reiterate in case you didn't hear it, flavourings tend to be the golden rule of no more than 25%. Now, when a manufacturer makes up a bottle with a flavouring in, he tends to stick with those sort of rules. But there are different kinds of flavourings. Now, there are what I would call concentrated flavourings, which are the Decadent Vapors, Flavour West, Cloud9, Loran from Liberty Flights. They're very, very concentrated. You'll get them in small.
And yet again, it's dropped. Oh, God almighty. For what reason, I do not know, but we are losing calls left, right and centre tonight. This is just most strange, but Chris is coming back in. Technology is amazing stuff.
Skype has really acted itself tonight, isn't it?
It certainly is, Chris. It certainly is. I'll give you the screen back. There you go. It's all yours.
Okay. Now, I'm not sure how far we got. I hope we got as far as the concentrates. Because at this rate, we'll still be talking about flavourings at 10 o'clock.
Yes, quite probably.
What you need to do, if you've bought a juice, and let's say, for example, it was something like a fruit flavour, and you didn't feel the flavouring was strong enough. To answer your first question, yes, you can add a couple of drops of a concentrate. Now, TPAs, the perfumer's apprentice, are not concentrated. Now, some people will argue with me about this, and they'll say they're very, very strong. Very strong is kind of different from concentrated. But to me, they're not very strong. Get the concentrate and you can add a few drops and you'll be safe, because you won't exceed that 25%. Okay, so that's my answer to that. Get some concentrates. Any of the ones I've mentioned, there may be more out there, but those are the ones that come to mind. And just add a couple of drops to a 30ml bottle. And keep tasting it. Less is more, remember. Don't put too much in, not to start with. And the vendors, I think I've just named them. Decadent Vapors, you will get the flavour concentrates from Totally Wicked. The Cloud9 from Cloud9 Vaping, and the Lorand from Liberty Flights, and the Flavour West from mistyliquids.co.uk. Okay, so, and that will boost, and it's exactly the same principle to alter. So I hope I've answered that one for you, Liam. Okay, Dave, back to the studio.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. I would, if I could just add, even within ranges, some of them are enormously strong, I've found. For instance, the Dulce de Leche from the Perfumer's Apprentice. One drop. Yes. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, but I don't class that as a flavouring. That's an additive, which is a bit different.
An enhancer.
Yes. It comes under a different category, that, very much like the ethyl maltol.
Mm.
But an actual flavouring, dulce de leche, you can only add one drop. It's the same with tobacco absolute.
Oh, yes.
You know, if you add more than what's a pinhead, you've totally ruined, you know, whatever it is you've tried to make.
Yes, yes.
So, far better, stick, if you've bought a juice in, and you're not quite happy and you want a little bit more in, and you're sure it's not your palate. Because something I find, and I mentioned it last night on air, as you know, Dave, I vape a lot of coconut ice.
Oh, hell yes, I know.
But you get to the point where the coconut is overshadowed and you don't taste it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that frequently happens, and you think, oh, I'll add some more coconut. And if you do, and, you know, your taste buds come back, you think, holy moly, what have I done?
Yes.
It's horrible. So you've got to be careful what you're doing with that. And
Indeed.
just a drop at a time. And what I would do, if I had a 30ml bottle, and I would split the juice up into 3 10mls, and try 1 drop in one, 2 drops in the next one if the first one wasn't right, and so on, until I got it the way I wanted to.
Yes, that sounds like a damn good idea. Damn good idea. I think I should probably say, for the benefit of the people in the chat room that are watching this live, that we're running with about a 30 to 35 second delay.
Right.
Which means that when we've said it, it's going to take about 35 seconds to get to you. So we're doing our best to keep a watch on what's going on, but it's kind of out of our hands. There's not much we can do about it. But I hope what Chris has said about the flavourings will help everybody. It's certainly, I would agree with everything that she said. And you have to admit, she's very posh, drinking through a straw. when I have my happy Vita Stein with my Jacques cider in, which was a present from one of my neighbours today, which is just as well because I've got a rotten sore throat. But there you go. So what's the next question then, Kat?
The next question is going to rely on a phone call if we're going to go by order, because it's from Del Boy, and we have asked him to ring in on that. So I won't go into that question at the moment, but I'm just mentioning it so that he knows it's been passed on. One following that is from Schnoodles.
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 This
Who would
Schnoodles.
like an update on G4s, the good and the bad?
Well, I thought their first album was brilliant, and saw them live. I mean, it was absolutely cracking. Oh, right, no, I did that one last week, didn't I? The yes, these G4s, these little things. I have to say that if you are using them on a variable voltage or a variable power piece of kit, the chances are they will work very nicely for you. But they are, for me, quite airy. I've not yet had a leak out of any of them, and I've got 3 of them on the go. Flavour-wise, let me just remind myself. He said removing the triple coil cart ore from the Darwin. As you do, yes, and you heard me right. Triple coil cart ore, and of course, given that the cameras are now so far away, I don't need my glasses on, so I can't see what I'm doing close up. So let's I'll just have a quick run and just remind myself of what they were like. Yes, now that's put me exactly where I wanted to be and reminded me exactly what I wanted to know. They seem to accentuate for me the sweeter flavours and seemed to mute or dull the darker flavours, which is not a bad thing for me because I do like quite a sweet vapour, if I'm to be honest. So there you go. In terms of vapour production, if you're running on a variable voltage or a variable wattage device, then getting somewhere 8 watts or above will give you a nice experience, and they're not too hot. As devices go, I do quite like them. I would love to put them side by side with a CE3, and I will, because I think I know how I can fill a CE3 without it spilling everywhere. Whether that'll be the case when it's in use or not, I would not like to say. But that's about the update on G4s. Now, I also note, Chris, I've just seen coming up in a little private chatty thing, what's the number? There are 2 ways you can get your voice on VTTalk. One is to Skype me up. Just Skype Hi-Fi Stud. HIFISTUD. Believe it or not, I did have a graphic set up that would have gone straight behind me on this screen here, but when Wirecast crashed, it took it with it. So Skype me up on Hi-Fi Stud, or give us a bell on 0117 2302 794. Del Boy can't Skype, so he's going to dial in. Let me give you that number again. It's 0117 2302 794. There you go. No, it just says I'm offline, Del. I'm not really. Let me just check that and take it 2 away. But I'm not. I'm invisible, not offline. It is there. So yeah, either way, Skype or phone, Skype Hi-Fi Stud, or call on 0117 2302 R5. And we have an incoming call from Del Boy. Hello, Del Boy. Can you hear me?
I can indeed, Hi-Fi. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you absolutely perfectly. 5 by 5.
Fantastic.
So, how can we help you?
Well, I'd like to talk about the IATI.
Okay.
I got it through yesterday and I got it up working last night.
Right.
And and I'm having a few difficulties. I kind of like it. It's beautifully made. The vape off it's stunning, but I'm having some problems with the juice flow control.
Okay.
Basically, I set it all up, built a coil. It was all pretty simple, fairly easy. And then there's that cone thing that you screw down. So I screwed it right down, and I just inched it off a little bit, like half a turn, and I filled it with juice.
Right.
And it very quickly went dry. I'm running like a 50-50 juice mix.
Okay.
And it quickly went dry, so I thought, okay, I need to back up the juice control a bit, and then, hopefully it'll get more juice in. So I tipped it all out, opened up the juice control, put the juice back in, and then it all started just pouring out the bottom through the air hole. So I thought, right, I must have got it open too much. Anyway, I kind of fiddled about with it, and I can't actually fill the juice all the way up without it either going dry or it just, gushing out the actual ATI connection.
Right. Quick question: when you put your coil and your wick on the cup, do you have the wires in those two little slots first, or do you put the wicks in the two little slots first? I'm
not sure what you're asking me. I've got all of the resistance wire, but in the little white cup, if that's what you're asking me.
Okay, I'm thinking now in terms of the no resistance wire, the bit that connects onto the two connection points. Unfortunately, mine's full. I should have drained it. The first time I put it together, I was so concerned with getting the wicks right that I put those in the slots first, and then I put the wires through, if you follow me drift. And that left a hole that wasn't filled with wick when the cone went on. And I was having a very gurgly experience. So the second time, made a new coil, and I made sure that the wicks were, if you like, standing outside, more or less like a T-bar on the top, till I'd got the wires fastened down. Then I'd drop the wicks in. And that seems to have kind of filled that slot, so that I have actually got control over how much juice hits the wicks, and it's working quite nicely. But I will say this: when you get down, when the juice is about level with the top of the black plastic pieces, it starts to gurgle again, and I've not been able to stop that, no matter how tight I fasten the cone down.
So when the juice gets low, it starts to gurgle for you?
Yes.
See, that doesn't make any sense to me.
It didn't to me either. The only thing I can think of is that there must be air getting in somewhere, which is allowing you to draw juice through that a tiny little wee slot, because obviously the wicks are going to narrow off a bit as they get juice in. Maybe, I don't know, but it's repeatable. It's not a major problem.
I mean, the way I'm currently using it is really bizarre, because I've got the cone things screwed down to a point where the juice flows in and it doesn't leak.
Yes.
But the problem I've got with that is that as soon as the juice goes down too low, it doesn't wick, which is kind of understandable. But then, as soon as I fill the juice up too high, I start to get flooding. So what I'm having to do is literally just keep it within a very, very small band. And so basically it goes down low. I'll put about, I don't know, between 0.5 ml and 1 ml in. Certainly no more than 1 ml.
Yes.
And then I have to vape that 0.5 ml to 1 ml and add it and top it up again. And so I'm permanently topping it up. And the thing is, it's supposed to be like a 5 ml juice tank.
Yes.
And I can only use like 0.5 ml or at maximum about 1 ml.
Yeah, I share your pain, because, as I say, the first 3 ml in this one here is absolutely lush. After that, I've got to pump it up on the Provari. I'm running at, I'll have to have a look, Yeah, I'm running a 3.7 most of the time with a 1.8 ohm coil in there. And what I found is, once it starts to gurgle, I've got to whack it up to 5 volts. Mind you, it's a hell of a hit at 5 volts. And it's the only way it can keep pace with the amount of juice that's going through there. So there must be, for any given juice, there's a sweet spot of where that cone needs to be. And
so the problem I have as well is that it's really difficult to adjust that cone without just tipping all the juice out and dismantling it.
Yes.
You know, I spent like, I don't know, a good 2 or 3 hours last night just covered in juice, taking the thing to bits and adjusting that cone. The top of
that cone, if it was a square section, and then you could put a little wheel on the top that had a square section in, so you could screw it in and screw it out, the same way as you adjust the UFS. That would be lush. That would mean you could then screw it up and screw it down and sort it out. But I mean, it's very much version 1 of the IATI.
The other thing I'd like to ask you about it, and that is, have you had any problem with condensation?
No.
Right, okay. Because basically mine has been, every once in a while it just dumps a load of clear liquid out once again through the actual connection, and it looks like water. I mean, my juice, well, it's RY4, it's got a collar to it, but this is completely clear and it's way thinner than my juice. And I've had that happen a couple of times where it's just dumped all that out on me, and I presume that it's condensation. I mean, if you unscrew the lid as well, then you get like condensation.
What do you run it on?
On there.
What device are you running it on, Del?
Silver Bullet.
That's taken me aback, because I've not seen any of that at all. As I say, gurgly when I get down below half, although this one, this is a new one because I was trying to record some video for tomorrow, which looks as though it's going to be a complete waste of time if Wirecast doesn't get itself sorted. But so I redid the whole thing today, and it's actually better now than it was day one. Did you as well? I'm going to ask you this while I've got you here, and I know we haven't solved your problem, but we might get there.
Okay.
Did you notice a funny flavour on your first tank full?
No.
Must just be me.
I have to say that the throat it and the vapour and the taste of it and everything is fantastic. It's as good as anything else I've had, as long as it's not dry or flooded.
Yes.
And I really do like the unit. I mean, people know my thoughts on the Alpha, and I got rid of that after I only had it for 13 hours, put it that way.
Yes.
And my problem was that, I didn't think it was built very well at all, to be honest with you.
I would agree with you, because I've got it here, and the bloody thing still isn't working right. And, more to the point, I can report that another VTTV presenter has bought one that has exactly the same problem. It just won't make connection reliably.
I've seen these issues on the forum, actually. I've been following them today. But I mean, I didn't think it was built very well. And I don't know, the reviews I've heard, everyone just go, oh, it's built so well, and if you go to their website, they tell you how great the build is and everything. And I was expecting something really nice, and I thought it was built terribly. Now, the IATI is built proper. It's built proper nice.
Yes.
And it looks nice, and it's a reasonable size and everything, and I really, really like it. I really want to like it. I really want to make it work.
Yes.
But obviously, all this kind of, I can't fill it up properly, and then I'm getting juice and condensation coming out through the centre hole. It's kind of putting me off it a bit. I don't have a problem with the faff, so to speak, because I'm quite capable of building coils and screwing a few things together. But I just desperately want it to work properly. Everybody else on the forums is just going, oh, Wimio's a god. And he might be, for all I know.
You know, it's a queer thing, is this. And I mean, like everybody else, I've you know, bought my IATI, and I've been waiting for it coming out, because the whole concept of it being a cross between a G4, a Bully, and a CE2, if you like. You kind of hope it's going to have all the best of those things. And Imio knows what he's doing. He's a clever bloke. He is a clever bloke. There's no two ways about that. But I learned donkeys ages ago, when it comes to GG stuff, there is one hell of a learning curve, and you can take it as quick or as slow as you like. Now, I think most people know I'm relatively technical, but there's a lot to learn about this. It is very, very much early adopter, where you and I are, and everybody else that's got one, if I'm to be truthful. And Imio knows what he's doing with it, and Imio can make it work for Imio. But Imio isn't everybody else. Imio's the bloke that runs a 1.5 ohm coil at 6 volts.
Right.
And gets away with it. He's the bloke that runs unflavoured glycerin-based juice on a 1.5 ohm at 6 volts.
I heard about this no flavour malarkey. I couldn't understand that, really, because, I mean, how does he know whether his atty's going to taste good if he's got no flavour in it?
Well, I think he probably takes the view, as many people do, that flavour is so subjective, you're wasting your time trying to cater for flavour. Just do the best you can. And I have to say, the flavour does come out in this thing. I've got to be honest, with all of the various different AVSs and AFSs and UFSs, and now the IATI, flavour's never been a problem. Always very flavourful.
Well, I agree. You know, the flavour's fine on this. I just need to sort my other issues out first.
Well, I think, I assume you have got Skype, haven't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm ringing you in on now.
Right. Well, you and I are going to be spending a lot of time on Skype together, I think.
Okay.
There's so many. Well, I mean, there's not so many variables, but there are variables to do with the IATI that you kind of need a bunch of you getting together and going, well, look, try this. I've done this, and with Skype, of course, as with VTTalk, we've got pictures, so we can show things and say, look, try doing it this way, and that happens, and this happens, and that's what needs to occur, so that we here in the UK can kind of get it configured to work the way the Brits like it, because I can tell you now that the Americans will use it a completely different way. They'll all be looking at 7.4 volts and thinnest juice you can find, whereas we tend to go for lower voltage, more better, nicer flavours, because we know what our Y4 tastes like, and the Americans don't. I think I'm safe in saying that, because I saw somebody saying it in the chat. But yeah, it's like the AFS was. You've got to experiment, and you've got to learn how to use it. And I'll put my hand on my heart and say, as much as I would love to be an expert in this thing now, I'm not. I can see the theory, I can see how it's supposed to work, but making it do that the way I wanted to do it for the full 5 mil, I've still got something to learn. And I think that's the same for everybody, if I'm to be honest. So we need to help each other out.
Okay. Well, put me down on the IATI Skype list then.
Yes, we'll put an IATI group together on Skype, and we'll get.
Because this is my first bit of GG kit, to be fair.
All right.
I've just none of the other stuff's actually appealed to me at all. And so I've got no sort of preconceptions about loving GG stuff or hating it.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. I must admit, I much prefer that it would just work straight out of the box. And for me, the UFS did, because I understood what was going on there, and that was no problem. The IATI, it needs a little bit of learning, but I think once we've got it down, that's a piece of kit against the world. It is. Because even now, and I know it doesn't show enormously well on the set that we're using at the minute, because of the way the lighting is set, this thing produces incredibly well. and it fits so well on that Pro Vari. It just looks the biz, and it'll look the biz on a silver bullet as well.
Oh yeah, it looks proper. You know what I mean? I don't need convincing on that. You know, and the stainless steel. I love that stainless steel stuff as well.
Oh yeah, I mean it is built like the archetypal brick outhouse.
Yeah. I've got no
Without a doubt.
problems with it kind of breaking or
No.
any damage to it or anything. So I'm very happy on that score. And as I say, I want to like it. I mean, the Alpha, I didn't like it, and like, I don't know, as soon as it started turning black after 3 hours, I didn't want to like it, and it was just gone instantly.
Well,
I have to say, this IATI was nearly on the classifieds this afternoon. But you've talked me into keeping it for a little while longer.
It's worth persevering with, I think.
Okay, I'll stick with it for a bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, and for what it's worth, I completely agree with you about the Ultramax. For the price that thing is, I really wanted to want one, if you understand.
I think they're the best looking mods I've ever seen. I mean, from my personal opinion, you know, the look of it, I just thought was fantastic.
Until it tarnishes.
And I thought, I'm going to have one of them.
Yes.
And then when I got it and I held it in my hand, it's so light and flimsy, and I didn't like the switch either. My switch worked, I just didn't like it.
No.
And I don't know, but like, I don't think people should be making nickel-plated stuff anymore, you know? I just don't. Not unless it's really cheap anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll better keep my opinion on that one to myself.
Okay, well, mine's out there
nickel
because
plate, it's cheap. It is.
It is cheap,
Yeah.
but if it's a cheap mod, then fair enough, I'll deal with, you know, nickel-plated stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of people that's allergic to nickel as well, aren't they?
Well, exactly.
You know, and then there's the fact that you have to clean it like twice a day.
Yes.
And like, you know, for a 150 quid mod, I just don't think that's on. But that's another story.
I would have thought 150 quid with that case might have been justified. But when the case is another, what is it, $99, as it was from the States, I think it's going out at 85 quid from...
But who on earth would want that case? That case is terrible. I mean, it's like a brick, isn't it?
It is,
I mean, you don't want that in your pocket.
It was one of those things, you know, you look at that and you think, I think I might want that. I might want to like that. But I can't, for the... no, I just couldn't justify that amount of money for the case.
The whole thing to me seems to be built by somebody who doesn't know much about vaping as well, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, you have to look across the range. You've got the 10440 model. Now, who on earth would build, you know, a mod with a 10440 in it? Nobody in their right mind.
Not anymore.
And then, like, they've put this 17670, which is a reasonable battery and all.
Yeah.
But for 1 mil larger, we can have the 18650s that we all love. You know what I mean?
Well,
it doesn't seem to make sense to me. I like an 18650.
Yes. But that's I think that's the difference between Americans and us.
Right, okay.
If you like, you know, we kind of look at it pragmatically. But I sometimes think that there's a take in the States for how it looks. It's form over function. And it does. It looks gorgeous when it's new. And that little 10440 one must be really diddy, and it would look gorgeous in an elegant woman's hand. But it would last me 25 minutes, and then I'd be swearing and cursing.
Well, same here.
Neither use nor ornamental for anybody with a decent sized pair of lungs. And
they put low resistance ATIs on that 10440, which is just stupid, isn't it? I mean, it's gonna kill the battery in no time. We all know that.
Well, it's one way of selling batteries.
You know.
Yeah.
So I don't. It all seems a bit weird to me, but I'm glad I've got rid of it anyway, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
That makes
anyway, Hi-Fi, I think you might have some other questions.
I think
I don't want to monopolise the whole show.
Yes, because Bez is asking whether I tuck my shirt into my underpants, and I don't. He might, but I don't. Del, thank you so much for ringing in. It's actually been very pleasant for me to put the voice to the name.
All right, okay.
I've enjoyed
it's been
that.
pleasant having a chat with you, Hi-Fi.
And you. Thanks again, Del. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers now. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was Del. That was who that was. That was Del Boy, who was in the chat room. Sorry about that, Chris. You've been sitting there.
It's all right. There's a question that's quite relevant to that one, so I'm going to put it forward now.
Okay.
From Nyman, 1969. The question is the bully a better option?
A better option than the IATI?
Mm-hmm.
I think that all depends on... This is killing my show for tomorrow, but never mind. Never mind. The viewers are more important than my show. I have both. Of the two, I prefer the IATI, even though they're very, very similar in outlook. The difference being, for me, that the Bully A2 just doesn't hold enough juice. And I kind of got away from cartridges long enough since. And okay, it's a 1mm cartridge, but you've got to be careful where you put the coil. It's got to be in the right position versus the hole that's in the shroud.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not quite me, if you know what I mean. Whereas the IATI, it's kind of, the coil's where you expect it to be, in what you expect it to be in that ceramic cup, and so on and so forth. So for me, that little bit of extra money for the IATI, I think, is worth it. I think you've got to be patient with it. You've got to be patient with yourself with it, because it needs some learning. And you know, I'm going to be sitting re-watching Emio's videos time and time again to make sure that I've actually got it right before I sit down and try and do a definitive one myself. You kind of feel as though you ought to, but I really, really do feel like the Padawan, you know, at the master's knee, learning how to do it. But I think I couldn't get the amount of vapour out of the Bully that I can get out of the IATI, and I'm still learning the IATI. So of the two, the IATI's scoring more points for me at the minute.
Right.
And I'll cancel tomorrow's show.
I'm one of those people who's holding back from buying one. I won't say a thing against them, of course, because I don't know anything about them, but I'm holding back till everybody else has discovered all the little quirks with it, and then you can show me how to use one. Then I'll buy one.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a school of thought that says somebody somewhere ought to set up shop winding these coils.
Absolutely.
And I don't know, sell them at, I don't know, what would you pay, 50 pence a pound, something like that? For maybe a pack of 2 or 3.
Yeah, I would love that. I wouldn't hesitate then.
Well, no, it would be a good idea. I'm just going to put you full screen, Chris, and I would very much like if you would just run through what's holding you back on the IATI for a second. You'll see on your camera why.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to... The IATI. I'm one of these people, and everybody who knows me, you know what I'm like. I'm the person who does how not to's.
Yes.
So, for me, rather than try and fathom it, because it took me absolutely forever to fathom what I was doing with the GGTS and the UFS. But once I got it, I was able to understand that there actually was a problem with the unit I had rather than with me. Because this is what happens to people, and this is why I would encourage anybody who has rushed in and bought one and found it to be a total mystery, not to put it up for sale, but to hang on to it until, you know, people like yourself have discovered the whys and wherefores of the IATI. Because once people know, it's going to be quite easy. And the other thing that's put me off, you've already hit upon, which is the wire. to sit and coil the wire. I couldn't do that. So if somebody was doing them and selling them, I would be a very happy person indeed. So
Yes,
there
well,
you go. Those are my reasons.
I'd be very, very surprised if somebody doesn't set up doing it fairly soon. It's not massively difficult to do. It isn't, but it's a bit fiddly because everything's
it's just out
so...
of my comfort zone.
Well, yeah. I was saying to somebody yesterday, it's a bit like the old wire wrapping technique that we used to use in electronics many, many moons ago. And I found myself today, while I was winding a coil with the glasses on, and my noses were right down... Noses? My nose was right down to it to see what I was doing. And what I discovered was I was working by feel.
Yes.
But I think if you tried it, it's like tying fishing knots, I suppose. If you can tie fishing knots, then you can wind a coil. If you can't, you need to get somebody else doing it for you. I think that's the easiest way to put it. But
yeah, once you watch somebody doing it,
yes,
then and have a go yourself, and have that person say to you, "Yes, that is correct." Then you're okay. But me, I would be afraid to put anything I made into something like the IATI, just in case. But I do know what you're talking about. I remember the day you used to wire the fuses in the fuse box.
yes.
Before you had the actual fuses, I remember doing that.
It's the same wire, believe it or not.
No, doesn't surprise me.
I haven't yet worked out what the amperage of the wire is, but it's the same sort of stuff. Anyway, let's park the IATI, or I've got no show tomorrow, and move on.
It's such a massive subject. I can understand all the questions.
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a couple of questions here that I would like to give your voice a little bit of a break.
Oh, thanks, love.
One of them is from Dutch Angel, asking the question, which brand would be best concerning flavour concentrates? Now, I'm not going to say there's a best brand out there. Everybody's got their favourites. And I mentioned the ones that I feel are very concentrated, which were the DV flavourings, Cloud9 flavourings. Loran Flavour Art isn't quite as concentrated, but it's fairly so. And Flavour West. It's down to what you like. My impression, if you ask me, of the strongest of those would be DV and Cloud9. Because I've tried them quite recently and I've found them to be, superb. So that answers that one for you. Now, a question from Bez is, using glycerine or water to water down nicotine intake a good idea, or is it better to buy a lower strength? It's better to buy a lower strength, because by doing that, by adding glycerine to water down, it means you have also watered down the flavour. If you don't mind the flavour being diminished, then by all means use a bit of glycerin to water down your nicotine. But frankly, it does mean you've lost flavour as well. So that's my answer to that one. It's quite simple answer to that one. Now I've got a question for you, Hi-Fi, from River East.
Yeah.
Why, when using 510 adapters on a PV to improve the draw, do they reduce flavours? Good question, that one.
The only thing that would reduce flavour for me, I think, would be a drop in voltage, which implies that there's a resistance or a drop in power, which would imply that there's some form of voltage drop across the 510 to 510 adapter. It could be as well, and I've noticed this with a few juices, with a really airy draw, you get lots and lots of flavour. With a tighter draw, the flavour seems to go, possibly because there's more heat getting into every little bit of juice that's been, pardon me, hiccups, vaporised. It's a weird one, is that?
Mm-hmm.
But I must admit, draw-wise, I've become less and less choosy the older I get. I don't know about you.
Yes.
I mean, I've got... God, might as well blow tomorrow night's show to bits. On this here Darwin here, right? On this here Darwin here, I have a dual coil Carto. And the draw on this is... It's baby pig. It's just about right. And that's loads of flavour. Vapour's not bad, and as I say, you can't see much of the vapour because of the studio lights. On this Darwin, I have a triple coil cartomizer. And I'm going to say no more. I'm just going to talk about the draw and the flavour. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Now the draw is slightly lighter than the dual coil, and the flavour is just slightly greater than the dual coil. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, I just don't know. I think that it's got something to do with the amount of juice that's being vaporised at any given point in time. And how much of that is actually mixing in with the air, so what the density of it is, that's obviously got to govern how much flavour's deposited on your tongue. So a tighter draw puts more molecules, if you like, of the flavour on your tongue than an airier one, you would think.
Yeah.
That may be it. I don't know, but I mean, the G4s are quite airy, but run those up at 5.5 volts and you get barrel loads of flavour and blisters.
Mm.
But
yeah,
it's one of those. I don't know that there's a definitive answer because I've noticed it with different juices work differently. I think it depends on what's in them to flavour them. It is rocket science. That's what it is.
Right.
It's rocket science and brain surgery put together. Brain science and rocket surgery.
Yeah, it's like this thing, which is just a CE2.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when you do that now and again, just tip it. You know the next hit you're going to get is going to be incredibly full of flavour. Because
there's lots of juice on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely lovely. And you can go along a few times, a few more draws until the flavour diminishes, and then turn it again. And these days, I have to say, I'm quite happy with that.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
I'm more of a flavour person than I've ever been.
It's funny that, isn't it? The older you get, you get your nicotine dose sorted out and then start hunting down flavour and vapour. And
Absolutely.
these days, there's no excuse for anything not putting vapour out because I think everybody knows how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, you can either... It's very simple to stealth vape and it's very simple to throw vapour out. I don't like parting with it. I've paid for it, that. I'm not parting with it.
No. No.
Right, we'll move on here now, if you're ready.
Whatever. You were the boss.
A question... Pardon?
You were the boss.
Right. Question from Mighty Mouse.
Uh-huh.
He says, when I called in on Sunday, I had asked about my new Ultrafire 18650s, 3.7 volt, 3600 mAh, not lasting more than 6 hours. In the discussion, I had learned that there was no such thing as the 360 mAh on MAH 18650.
No.
My question is, the old Ultrafire 18650s with 2600 mAh have XSL labelled. The new ones have ARC. What does that stand for? And is there a difference? Also, what brand of IMR 18650s seem to be the ones that perform well?
Well, let me answer the first part, the last part first.
Okay.
You can't beat the AW IMR, the red one. Just can't beat it, in my estimation. And indeed, in Dave Kitson's estimation, this is the beast. It is the bomb. It says it's 1600 milliamp hours, and indeed it is. I've done all the calculations I can do, and this beastie does what it says on the tin. And I've got to be honest, I've not yet come across an ultrafire that delivers what it says. Odd ones of the grey ultrafire will give you 2400. That's the beast. That's the beast. Let me just put you on screen. Hold it up again. That's the one. Odd ones of those will deliver 2300 milliamp hours at the kind of discharge rates that we give them. And of all of the ultrafires, I think they are the best ones to buy. The rest, nobody knows where they come from, for absolute certain. Nobody knows who makes them, for absolute certain. They could be anything from anywhere. And we just don't know. But my experience with AWs, and there's a lot of people using them that'll back me up on this one, I'm sure, they just don't let you down. They are absolutely cracking pieces of kit, to coin a phrase that apparently is gaining foothold in the US, believe it or not. Canny piece of kit. So that's that one. As for what the initials stand for on those other batteries, not a clue. Couldn't help you there. I wish I could, wish I knew, but I don't. It'll be something that they've come up with that is a 3-letter acronym, but that'll be it. It's a TLA, a 3-letter acronym, but I've got no idea what it stands for. Certainly nothing that resonates with me in terms of electronics. So, sorry I can't be of more help than that. So, next one, Chris.
All right, well, hang on one second here, see if Sav's got us any more. Yes, there's a question from Mr. Gary Dibley, who says, can I nick your desk?
What, your desk or my desk?
I think it's yours he's after. Can I see, Bean?
Well, this took me 2 days to build. And it's made out of just under 5 million pixels, apparently.
All right.
Of various different colours. But I like it. I do actually quite like this. And I actually hope that our viewing public, for want of a better phrase, quite, likes the way it all looks. I hope it, might be a little bit more entertaining. Let's put it that way. Might look a little bit more professional. But, Mr. Dibley, you don't need my desk. All you need is your shed and another 10 pairs of hands to keep up with all the orders that you get for all of your kit, which is wonderful stuff. And if anybody's watching and you're considering buying a Gary Dibley piece of kit, don't think twice, just do it. Yes.
Right, well, we seem to be all done with questions. Haven't got any more for you at the moment. I've been searching around, as you may have noticed, because I do have a battery somewhere that has, Sosheen. It's a Sosheen battery that has 3600 on it.
Yes.
And frankly, I can't tell the difference between that and one of these 2400 ones. They vape exactly the same.
Yeah, there's no difference between them that I can see. I had one of those.
There it is.
Have you found it?
To have fit.
Yellow and black, aren't they? Yellow and black? Black and yellow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, pretty looking things.
Very nice.
Yes, they do look gorgeous. Very feminine.
I've got it.
Have you got it?
They look very much like these ones, which are Trust Fire.
Yes.
They do look a bit like that.
Yes.
But they're so sheen. And there are a few problems with them because they don't fit Some of them don't fit the silver bullet very well. They are slightly wider.
They are fat. Yeah, I've got one, and they are fat.
Yeah.
As I remember, I couldn't get it into a GGTS, the 2010 one.
Yeah.
And I don't know, well, I've not tried to get it in the stainless steel one. They just, I don't know, they come in all sorts of different sizes. There is, and I wish I could remember the URL for it, but there is a website that does an awful lot of testing on 18650s particularly. And he's got all of the discharge characteristics graphed out on there. And it makes very, very interesting reading. You know, some of these 3,200 milliamp hours that deliver 1,800 at proper discharge rates. And it makes you think, whoa, hang on a minute. Somebody's telling porky pies here. I'm being porky pied too. But, you know, there you go. There you go. It's,
well, all I know is I bought, with my very first GG, which is here, bless it, 2 years old. I bought a load of batteries from China, and they were all ultrafires. And in all that time, I've only thrown one away. The rest of them are still all in use 2 years down the line.
Yes. Well, it's well known that you part with nothing, though.
I part without me. I've still got, I think I've buried one atomizer and that's it.
Listen, Mrs. I'm going to correct you. I'm going to correct you on that, because you do part with things. You do.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
But it's not vapor.
No, it might not be vapor, but you do part with things. I know that you have given away lots and lots of kit.
I give away kit, yes. Because I don't like selling stuff. I'd rather just give it to somebody. But me batteries, you'll not get a battery out of me. But one thing I will say, after 2 years, all I've noticed with these batteries is initially they would last, when brand new, 3 days. 3 days for me, which was wonderful. Now they're down to a day.
Hang on.
But they're not ready for the bid yet.
3 days out of 118,650.
Yeah, my very first one, and I've still got the video to prove it.
Good grief. And that's, but that, I mean, go answer me this. I'll ask you the question, because I don't understand this. When you go to bed, you're not going to be sucking on an e-cig, so why not just put the battery on charge when you go to bed?
I take mine with us.
Ah.
Mine goes upstairs with me. Or sometimes I've got an e-cig up there. A different one.
Right.
And you see, I go to bed, and what I do is I straight away I log in on Skype on the iPad, and then I sit and play games. So I like to have my e-cig there. Now, I do usually have a different one upstairs, and yes, I'll hire the battery and the charger. But 2 years ago was a different scenario, because you wanted to see how long you actually did get out of a battery. It was a bit of a comeuppance thing, you know. Nowadays, hell no, you've learned just stick it in the charger. When you're next to the charger, that one's nicely charged. Okay, use that one, stick that one in the charger. It's a different story now. I don't have anything to prove, but I know they only last about a day now.
Yes. Well, but even so, you know, I mean, that's not bad. Because they're supposed to have a finite life of somewhere between 3 and 5 years, and no matter how well you look after them, they'll be dead between 3 and 5 years. So 2 years down the road, you're still getting a day out of an 18650. You cannot really knock it.
No, you can't. There's a question here from Bez. Is Dave's studio set up in his garage, house, or studio? Sound studio.
Right. The studio, the sound studio, no longer exists. It went the journey with extreme prejudice in February. The garage is full of rubbish. Apparently, people put cars in them. This is not a hope. So this studio is in what is laughingly called our breakfast room, and I'm working in a space that will be about 9 foot square, is what it is. And I'm taking it from the question that Bez thinks that this is real wood. I could tell you what it is, but it's a virtual set. It doesn't actually exist. All that exists in this studio is me, that mic, excuse me, me happy vapor mug, and a lot of electronics. And 3 humping great big lights. How the hell I can see, I don't know. I'm blinded. There's one there, and one up there, and another one behind that one, and then 2 computers so I can see what's going on. It's Techno City, and it allows me to do things like that. Hi there. Or to bring Kat in, full screen. Wave Kat, you full screen. So she's there. Or I can bring the pair of us back like that. I can play videos in, all sorts of stuff. It took about 2 days to build it, to put it all together, and work the shots out. And we actually had a whole load more shots worked out with microscope cams coming up on this screen behind me, videos playing in where Kat's sitting now and then going full screen. But because Wirecast crashed, I lost all of that, which is a bit of a shame. And I shall be talking to Wirecast anon. But there you go. There you go.
Skype.
Yes, Skype. I don't know where we'd be without Skype. I really don't.
Well, I'll be without it quite a bit tonight.
Yes, it has been up and down like a Geordie Shaw's lasses knickers.
And you can always bet your life, if something's going to go wrong, it'll be the hour we are broadcasting.
Well, it always seems to happen to either you or me, so putting the 2 of us together on a show is maybe not a good idea.
It's a disaster.
It's danger looking for somewhere to happen.
Absolutely.
But I noticed by my little clock on my iMac
We are running over.
that it is now 22:03 and 27 seconds, which will let everybody know where we are. So it's probably time for us to wrap this up. And I'm not even going to chance playing the titles in, because there's not a hope in hell. But do join me tomorrow night, please, if you will, for the Haze Hour, when I'll be looking at the IATI again, and probably bringing Dell in, because we might learn something by then. I should be looking at triple coil cartors. I have been sent a sample of juice, which I've not yet been able to read the label on, but that's come from Ben at UK E-Liquid. And I'm looking forward to trying that, because it's one of the Vermilion River ones. And there's other stuff supposed to be arriving as well. It's probably all going to happen live, because I don't trust the videos. I really don't. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, we have been Chris on the monitor. Say night, Chris.
Night, everybody.
And myself here in the studio at VTTV Towers from VTTalk. Can we say thank you as well, please, to Sav. Put your hands together and give her a big round of applause for handling and wrangling the questions. Oh, hang on. Zola's asked a question. Have you got a multimeter? Have you? Or have you typed it back into the chat?
Yeah, I've answered it in there in case the delay was quite long.
Yes.
But feel free to answer it. I sort of said don't be pressurised to get one if you're not happy to do so. Because I had one, I gave it away. It just wasn't for me.
Best multimeter in the world is a Pro Vari. Tells you everything you need to know. It's also, it's not the most expensive one in the world, but it is the best. And on that bombshell, to coin a phrase from another programme which I quite enjoy, can I just say thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. We do apologise for what technical difficulties have beset us. But we will see you next time. I'll see you tomorrow. Chris will see you on Tuesday. Dave Kitson will be around on Sunday, and hopefully Andy Sutton. The Vapor Mists on Monday, and then it's back round to VTTalk again. And who knows who'll be in the chair. Might be me, might be Chris, could be anybody. But until we see you next time, have a really wonderful time.
You have been watching VTTalk on vaportrails.tv.